The day began like any other on Earth. Children laughed as they walked to school, their backpacks bouncing with each step. Parents waved goodbye, never thinking it might be for the last time. In the sky above, no one noticed the strange shimmer that signaled the arrival of the Galactic Council's ships. At exactly 9 a.m., in every time zone around the world, the attack began. The ships appeared suddenly, their cloaking devices dropping to reveal massive dark structures that blotted out the sun. People stopped and stared, confused and afraid. Then, without warning, beams of intense light shot down from the ships. The beams targeted schools, playgrounds, and anywhere else children gathered. In seconds, millions of young lives were erased. The light was silent, but the screams that followed were deafening. Parents rushed to find their children, only to discover empty classrooms and piles of ash where their loved ones had been. John, a teacher in New York, watched in horror as his students vanished before his eyes. He tried to shield them, but the beam passed through him, leaving him unharmed while the children disappeared. Across the ocean in Tokyo, Yuki froze in the middle of the street, her daughter's small hand slipping from her grasp as the light engulfed them. Yuki remained, but her daughter was gone. Within minutes, the world descended into chaos. Emergency sirens wailed in every city. People ran through the streets, desperate for answers or safety. Military jets scrambled to confront the alien ships, but their weapons seemed useless against the advanced technology. World leaders struggled to respond. No one knew why this was happening or how to stop it. News channels broadcast scenes of devastation from around the globe. Reporters, usually calm and professional, broke down on camera as they reported on the unthinkable tragedy unfolding. As quickly as it began, the attack ended. The alien ships rose higher into the sky and vanished. They left behind a planet in shock, forever changed by an act of violence beyond human understanding. In the hours that followed, the full scale of the loss became clear. Nearly every family on Earth had lost a child. The few children who survived were those who had been home sick or in remote areas. Hospitals were overwhelmed with people seeking help, both for physical injuries and emotional trauma. Scientists and military experts worked frantically to understand what had happened. They analyzed readings from satellites and radar stations, trying to track where the ships had gone. But there was no trace of the attackers, no clue to their origins or motives. As night fell, a stunned silence settled over the world. Streets usually filled with the sounds of playing children were eerily quiet. Parents sat in empty rooms, clutching toys and photos of their lost little ones. The pain was too fresh, too deep for tears. In Washington, D.C., the President of the United States prepared to address the nation. Her own granddaughter had been among the victims. With a shaking voice, she promised that humanity would find answers and seek justice. But her words felt hollow in the face of such overwhelming loss. Around the world, a single question echoed. Why? Why target the most innocent among us? What could children have done to deserve such a fate? As the first day of this new, darker world came to an end, survivors clung to each other for comfort. They knew that tomorrow would bring new challenges. There would be bodies to bury, even though most had no bodies left to mourn. There would be hard questions to answer and harder decisions to make. But in those quiet moments of grief, another emotion began to stir. It started as a whisper in the hearts of the bereaved and grew stronger with each passing hour. By morning, it would become a roar that would reshape the future of humanity. The emotion was rage, and with it came a single, unifying purpose: vengeance. The day after the attack, Earth woke to a changed world. The sun rose as it always had, but it shone on a planet drowning in sorrow and anger. Streets that should have been filled with the sounds of children going to school were silent. Playgrounds stood empty, swings moving only in the wind. In every country, people gathered in town squares and city centers. They held candles and pictures of their lost children. Some cried quietly, while others shouted in anger. The pain was too big for words. Governments around the world tried to keep order, but it was hard. In some cities, people broke into stores, taking food and supplies. They were scared and didn't know what might happen next. Police were everywhere. But many of them had lost children too. It was hard for them to do their jobs when they were also in pain. Scientists worked day and night to understand what had happened. They looked at videos of the attack and studied the strange lights that had taken the children. But they had never seen anything like this before. It was technology far beyond what humans had. World leaders met in an emergency meeting. They talked over video calls because no one wanted to leave their countries at such a dangerous time. The meeting lasted for hours, but they couldn't agree on what to do. Some wanted to try to contact the aliens. Others wanted to prepare for another attack. Everyone was afraid. On TV and the internet, people shared stories of the children they had lost. News shows played videos of the attack over and over. Experts tried to explain what might have happened, but no one really knew. Some people said it was the end of the world. Others said humans needed to fight back. In hospitals, doctors and nurses worked without rest. They helped people who were hurt during the chaos of the attack. But they also saw many people who were sick with sadness. Hearts were breaking, and no medicine could fix that. Schools and daycare centers closed. No one knew when or if they would open again. Parents didn't want to let their surviving children out of their sight. The few kids who were left didn't understand why all their friends were gone. In secret labs, military scientists studied pieces of metal and strange objects found where the alien ships had been. They hoped to learn something that could help protect Earth if the aliens came back. But progress was slow, and time felt short. Churches, mosques, and temples were full of people looking for comfort and answers. Some found peace in prayer. Others left feeling more lost than ever. The big questions, why did this happen? Where did the children go? Had no answers. As the shock began to wear off, a new feeling spread across the world. It started in small groups, people talking in low voices. Then it grew, spreading through cities and across borders. The feeling was anger, turning into a desire for revenge. People began to demand action. They wanted their leaders to do something, anything, to strike back at the aliens who had taken their children. Governments promised to make Earth stronger, to build weapons that could fight back. But not everyone agreed. Some said that fighting would only bring more death. They wanted to find a peaceful way to talk to the aliens, to understand why this had happened. This split between those who wanted peace and those who wanted war grew bigger every day. As the first week after the attack ended, the world was changing fast. Countries that had been enemies now worked together, sharing information and resources. People learned to use new words like extraterrestrial threat and global defense initiative. In homes around the world, parents sat in quiet rooms, looking at photos and toys left behind. They remembered the sound of laughter that used to fill their houses, and in their sadness, a determination grew. They would find a way to make things right. They had to, for the children they had lost. The path ahead was dark and unknown. But humans have always been good at one thing: surviving. As they faced their greatest challenge, they began to come together, ready to fight for their future and remember their past. 1 month after the attack, the world looked very different. The pain was still there, but now it had a purpose. All over Earth, people were coming together in a way they never had before. In a big meeting room in New York, leaders from every country sat around a table. They used to argue about many things, but now they all agreed on one thing: Earth needed to be ready if the aliens came back. "We must work together," said the President of the United States. Her voice was strong, even though her eyes were sad. "Our children were taken from all of us. Now we must protect the future for those who are left." The other leaders nodded. They signed a paper that day, creating the Earth Defense Alliance. It was the first time in history that every country agreed to work as one. Scientists from around the world shared their ideas. In big labs and small garages, they worked day and night. They studied the bits of alien technology left behind and tried to make new weapons and shields. In China, a team found a way to make stronger metal for spaceships. In Brazil, scientists made computers that could think faster than ever before. In Kenya, a young woman invented a new kind of engine that could take ships into space more easily. Factories that used to make cars and phones now made parts for spaceships and big guns. People worked hard, knowing that everything they did might help save Earth. But it wasn't just about fighting. People knew they needed to be smarter and work together better. Schools changed what they taught. Kids and adults learned about space, science, and how to solve problems in new ways. A group of teachers made a special class to help people from different countries understand each other better. If we're going to fight aliens, one teacher said, we need to stop fighting each other. In cities around the world, big buildings went up. They were training centers where people learned how to fly spaceships and use new weapons. Young men and women signed up to be soldiers and explorers. They knew it would be dangerous, but they wanted to protect Earth. One of these young people was Maria. She had lost her little brother in the attack. Now, she trained every day to be a pilot. I'm doing this for Tommy, she told her friends, and for all the other kids we lost. Not everyone agreed with the idea of fighting. Some people still wanted to find a peaceful way. They started groups to think of ways to talk to the aliens. Violence will only bring more violence, they said, but their voices were often drowned out by those who wanted revenge. As the months passed, Earth changed in amazing ways. New cities were built underground, safe from attacks from space. Big shields were made to cover whole towns. And high in the sky, the first of Earth's new spaceships started to take shape. People still cried for their lost children. But now, they also had hope. They believed that humans, working together, could do anything. 1 year after the attack, the Earth Defense Alliance made a big announcement. They had built a fleet of ships ready to go into space. These ships were faster and stronger than anything humans had made before. We are ready, the Alliance leader said on TV. People all over the world watched and listened. We will find those who hurt us. We will bring justice for our children. As the speech ended, millions of people went outside and looked up at the sky. They could see the ships, shining like new stars. For the first time in a long time, they felt strong. The ships would leave soon, carrying the hopes and dreams of everyone on Earth. The journey would be long and dangerous. No one knew what they would find out there in space. But one thing was sure, humanity was united like never before. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The day of launch came. The sun rose on a world holding its breath. In spaceports around the globe, huge ships stood ready. They were called the Vengeance Fleet, a name that spoke of Earth's pain and anger. Crowds gathered to watch. Parents held pictures of their lost children. Remember why we fight, a commander told the crews. Tears mixed with determination on many faces. Maria, now a trained pilot, climbed into her ship. Her hands shook a little, but her eyes were steady. For Tommy, she whispered, touching the photo of her brother taped to the controls. With a roar that shook the ground, the first ships lifted off. People cheered and cried as they watched the fleet rise into the blue sky. Soon, the ships were just dots of light, then nothing at all. In space, the fleet gathered, hundreds of ships, carrying the best of Earth's new technology and bravest people. Captain Chin, leader of the mission, spoke to all crews. Today, we carry the hopes of our entire planet. We will not fail. The journey into deep space began. At first, everything was new and exciting. The crews saw stars and planets they had only dreamed about. They passed Mars, then Jupiter, marveling at the beauty of our solar system. But as days turned to weeks, and weeks to months, the excitement faded. Space was vast and empty. Many started to feel lonely and scared. They missed Earth, missed the feel of wind, and the sound of birds. To keep spirits up, the ships held contests and games. They shared movies and music from home. But nothing could fully ease the pain of missing their families and their lost children. One day, alarms blared through the fleet. An unknown object was approaching fast. Everyone rushed to battle stations, hearts pounding. Was this the enemy at last? As the object got closer, they saw it wasn't a ship. It was a strange, glowing ball of energy. It passed harmlessly through the fleet, leaving everyone confused but amazed. "There's so much out here we don't understand," Maria said to her crewmates. Weeks later, they encountered their first alien civilization. The planet looked a bit like Earth, with blue oceans and green land. But the cities shimmered with a strange light. Captain Chen decided to send a message. "We come from Earth," it said. "We seek those who attacked our world." The reply came quickly. "We know of Earth. We are sorry for your loss. The ones you seek passed this way long ago. They are feared by many." This news brought mixed feelings. They were on the right track, but the enemy was still far ahead. Some wanted to stay and learn from this friendly alien world. Others were impatient to move on. In the end, they stayed for a week. They traded stories and information. The aliens were sad to hear about Earth's children. "Such an act goes against the laws of many worlds," they said. "You are right to seek justice." As they prepared to leave, the aliens gave them a gift. It was a map of nearby star systems, showing safe routes and dangerous areas. "Be careful," the aliens warned. "The galaxy can be a dangerous place for those seeking revenge." With new information and supplies, the fleet moved on. They were more determined than ever, but they also felt the weight of their mission more heavily. Some nights, Maria would float by the window of her ship, looking back towards Earth. It was just a tiny blue dot now, barely visible among the stars. "We'll make it right," she promised the memory of Tommy and all the lost children. As they journeyed deeper into the unknown, the crew faced new challenges every day. Strange space phenomena, dangerous cosmic storms, and the constant fear of ambush kept everyone on edge. But they also saw wonders beyond imagination. Beautiful nebulas painting space with color, massive gas giants with rings that sparkled like diamonds, and always the endless sea of stars, reminding them of how small they were in the vast universe. The journey had only just begun, and already Earth seemed like a distant memory. Ahead lay more mysteries, more dangers, and hopefully the answers they all sought. As Captain Chen often said, "Every light year takes us closer to the truth." And so, the Vengeance Fleet pushed on, carrying the hopes and fears of all humanity into the depths of space. 6 months into their journey, the Vengeance Fleet entered a part of space they had never seen before. Strange, swirling clouds of purple gas surrounded them. The ship's computers beeped with warnings. "Something's not right," Maria said, checking her screens. "These gases are interfering with our sensors." Captain Chen's voice came over the communication system. "All ships, stay alert. We're flying blind." Suddenly, a massive shape appeared in front of them. It was a space station, bigger than anything they had ever seen. It floated silently in the purple mist, its surface covered in blinking lights. "It's a Galactic Council outpost," someone whispered. The name sent a chill through the fleet. They had found their enemy at last. Captain Chen made a bold decision. "We need information. I'm sending in a small team to infiltrate the station." Maria volunteered immediately. "I'll go," she said, her heart racing. This was her chance to find answers about Tommy and the other children. The infiltration team snuck onto the station using a cloaking device Earth had developed. Inside, they found long corridors and strange alien technology. Everything was big, made for creatures much larger than humans. As they crept through the station, they overheard alien conversations. The team's translators worked hard to make sense of the strange languages. "The Earth children. Experiment. Success," one alien said. "But the cost, too high. Other races angry," another replied. Maria's hands shook as she recorded everything. What experiment? What had they done to the children? In a huge room filled with glowing screens, they found their answers. Maria hacked into a computer, her fingers flying over the alien keyboard. Files and images flashed by. What they discovered shocked them to their core. The Galactic Council had taken the children as part of a huge experiment. They believed that human children had special abilities, hidden powers that could be used to create incredible technology. They thought they were doing something good, Maria said, her voice shaking. They didn't understand how wrong it was. But the experiment had gone terribly wrong. The children's powers were too strong, too unpredictable. The Galactic Council couldn't control them. Even worse, they learned that some of the children might still be alive, held in special containment areas across the galaxy. As the team absorbed this information, alarms began to blare. They had been discovered. "We've got what we came for," the team leader shouted. "Let's move." They ran back to their ship, alien guards close behind. Laser blasts flew past their heads as they made a daring escape. Once safely back with the fleet, they shared what they had learned. The news spread quickly from ship to ship. Anger mixed with hope. Their children might be alive. But now they faced a difficult choice. Should they continue their mission of vengeance, or should they focus on finding and rescuing the surviving children? Heated debates broke out across the fleet. Some, like Maria, wanted to drop everything and search for the children. "We came to save them," she argued. "This is our chance." Others disagreed. "The Galactic Council must pay for what they've done," they said. "We can't let them hurt anyone else." Captain Chen listened to all sides. The weight of the decision pressed heavily on him. The fate of Earth, and possibly the entire galaxy, rested on what they did next. After hours of discussion, he made his choice. "We will split our forces," he announced. "One group will continue the fight against the Galactic Council. The other will search for our lost children." The fleet began to separate, ships moving into two groups. Friends and crewmates said goodbye, not knowing if they would ever see each other again. As Maria's ship joined the rescue group, she looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Tommy and the others were waiting. "We're coming," she whispered. "Hold on." The Vengeance fleet had come seeking simple revenge. Now they found themselves in the middle of a complex galactic conflict. The truth they had uncovered would change everything. As the two groups of ships moved in different directions, the real battle was just beginning. The future of humanity and the fate of innocent children hung in the balance. The Vengeance fleet, now split in two, raced towards their separate goals. Captain Chen led the attack group, while Maria joined the rescue team. Both knew that their next actions would change the fate of humanity forever. Captain Chen's ships approached the main Galactic Council world. It was a huge planet, covered in gleaming cities that stretched into the sky. Massive defense stations floated in orbit, their weapons pointed at the incoming human fleet. "This is it," Chen said to his crew. "Everything we fought for comes down to this moment." The battle began with a flash of light as both sides fired their weapons. Human ships darted between enemy fire, their new technology allowing them to move faster than the aliens expected. On the planet below, the Galactic Council watched in shock. They had never thought the humans would make it this far. How could they have advanced so quickly? One council member asked in fear. Meanwhile, Maria's rescue team followed the clues they had gathered. They jumped from planet to planet, always searching for signs of the missing children. On a small, icy moon, they found their first breakthrough. Hidden under the frozen surface was a secret facility. Inside, they discovered pods holding sleeping human children. Maria's heart raced as she opened the first pod. A young boy, no older than 5, opened his eyes. Where am I?" he asked in a small voice. "You're safe now," Maria said, tears in her eyes. "We've come to take you home." As the rescue team freed more children, they realized something amazing. The kids showed signs of incredible abilities. Some could move objects with their minds, others could heal wounds with a touch. Back at the Galactic Council world, the battle raged on. Human ships had broken through the outer defenses, but at a great cost. Many brave pilots had been lost. Captain Chen's ship landed in the heart of the alien capital. He led a team into the council chambers, ready to demand justice for Earth. But what they found inside surprised them. The council members weren't the evil monsters they had imagined. They looked scared, confused, and sorry. "We never meant to cause such pain," the head of the council said. "We thought we were helping the galaxy evolve. We were wrong." Chen's finger hovered over the trigger of his weapon. He had dreamed of this moment for years, but now, face to face with the truth, he hesitated. At that moment, Maria's voice came over the communication system. "Captain, we found them. The children are alive, and they're incredible." The news spread quickly through both fleets. Cheers and cries of joy echoed through the ships. Parents who had come on the mission felt hope for the first time in years. The Galactic Council members looked at each other, then back at Chen. "Perhaps," one said slowly, "it is time for us all to learn from our mistakes." Chen lowered his weapon. "We came for justice," he said. "But maybe there's a better way. A way that doesn't continue the cycle of violence." Over the next few hours, humans and aliens talked. Really talked, for the first time. They shared their fears, their hopes, and their regrets. The council agreed to help return all surviving children to Earth. They also promised to share their advanced technology to help humanity grow and heal. In return, the humans agreed to join a new galactic alliance. Earth would have a voice in shaping the future of the galaxy. As the rescue ships began their long journey home, carrying the precious cargo of recovered children, Maria looked out at the stars. She thought of all they had been through, all they had learned. "We came looking for revenge," she said to the young boy standing next to her. It was Tommy, her brother, alive and safe. "But we found something much more valuable. We found a future." The Vengeance fleet was no more. In its place, a new fleet of exploration and diplomacy would rise. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to take its place among the stars. As Earth came into view, a small blue dot growing larger, Maria smiled. They had started this journey in darkness and pain. They were ending it with hope and new beginnings. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity's real adventure was just beginning. 5 years had passed since the Vengeance fleet returned to Earth. The planet had changed in ways no one could have imagined. On a sunny day in New York, Maria walked through a park filled with laughter. Children played on swings and slides, their parents watching nearby. But these weren't ordinary children. A young girl lifted a ball with her mind, giggling as she made it dance in the air. Maria smiled, remembering the day they had brought the children home. It hadn't been easy. The kids with special abilities needed help controlling their powers. Some people on Earth were scared of them at first. But time had shown that these children were a gift. They helped solve problems in new ways. They brought hope to a world that had been lost in sadness for so long. Tommy, now a teenager, ran up to Maria. "Sis, come quick. The new ship is ready for its test flight." They hurried to a large field where a sleek spaceship stood. It was unlike anything humans had built before. Its shiny surface reflected the sun, and strange symbols glowed along its side. "It's beautiful," Maria whispered. The ship was a mix of human and alien technology, a symbol of Earth's new place in the galaxy. Captain Chen, now older but still strong, walked up to them. "Ready for the big moment?" he asked with a smile. People gathered around screens all over the world to watch. This wasn't just a test flight. It was the start of a new era. The ship rose smoothly into the air, its engines making almost no sound. It shot into the sky, becoming a tiny dot, then vanishing completely. Minutes later, cheers erupted as the ship reappeared. It had just made a quick trip to Mars and back, faster than any human ship before. "We did it," Tommy shouted, hugging his sister. Maria felt tears in her eyes. They had come so far from those dark days of loss and anger. Later that evening, world leaders gathered for a special meeting. On the big screen, alien faces looked back at them. It was the Galactic Alliance Council, with Earth now a proud member. "We are pleased to report that Earth's rehabilitation program is a success," one alien said. "Your world has shown remarkable growth and wisdom." The Earth president nodded. "We've learned so much. About the universe, about others, and about ourselves." But not everything was perfect. Some people still felt angry about what had happened. They wanted Earth to stay separate from other worlds. There were protests sometimes, calling for Earth to leave the Galactic Alliance. Maria understood their fear, but she also knew that going back wasn't the answer. "We have to keep moving forward," she often said in her speeches to young people. "That's how we honor those we lost." The children who had been taken, both those who returned with powers and those who didn't, were now becoming adults. They carried a special responsibility. They were the bridge between Earth's past and its future. Tommy was studying to be a diplomat. He wanted to help Earth and other worlds understand each other better. "No one should ever have to go through what we did," he said, "but look at all the good that came from it in the end." As night fell, Maria stood on a hill overlooking the city. New buildings reached into the sky, some built with alien help. Lights from homes and streets mixed with the stars above. She thought about the long journey that had brought them here. The pain, the battles, the hard choices, but also the wonders they had seen, the friends they had made across the galaxy. Earth was different now. Humans were different. They had faced their darkest moment and come out stronger. They had learned that revenge wasn't the answer. Understanding, forgiveness, and working together were the keys to a better future. A shooting star streaked across the sky. Once, people would have made a wish on it. Now, they knew it might be a ship carrying new adventures and possibilities. Maria took a deep breath of the cool night air. The universe was vast, full of dangers and wonders. But she wasn't afraid anymore. Whatever came next, Earth was ready. They would face it together, with open minds and hopeful hearts. As she turned to go home, Maria smiled. The story that had started with tragedy had led to a new chapter for all of humanity. And it was only the beginning.